right, the taxi pulled up. Joe gets out, and we're going to talk about stuff from Bryant Insurance this morning. And, Joe and I were sitting here reflecting upon this. Reminiscing about the many years that we have discussed insurance.
Yes. Rick, I feel by now you're probably a, like when you're a celebrity and you get the diploma, the honorary diploma.
Yes.
I think we should make you an honorary agent.
Did you know that I got an honorary diploma from Rock and Roll State University?
Oh, boy.
Just saying. Oh, yeah, I could be an honorary agent.
Yeah, we should make you an honorary agent.
I'll start. I have no problem whatsoever. Start to sell policies.
Well, let's not go that far, Rick.
Okay, we'll leave that to professionals.
Yes.
All right, Joe. You've been seeing it lately in the news. You've been seeing all the place people with these pictures of these just crazy giant hailstones.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
stuff like that.
It's so weird. They said yesterday that it was the lowest high recorded this late ever in the state of Texas was yesterday.
Yeah, it was cool yesterday.
Yeah, it's amazing the weather that we're having. Wife mentioned to me this morning that it seemed like we had a reasonably warm winter, but it seems like it's a rather cool spring so far. Right. And so this past weekend we saw it where you had day after day of just storms firing up and wreaking some havoc.
Right.
Got a picture sent in from Steve Mays down in Dublin where it looked like the ground
looked like snow.
Looked like snow. I mean, all the hail that was down in there looked like snow. So it's amazing the weather that we're having, whether it's hail, tennis ball, softball size hail, all the way up to trees blowing over, falling down. And a lot of folks have the question, man, what the heck happens? Is this covered? Is that covered? What do I do? So we'll kind of take it from the approach of at your house type of thing.
Right.
And, a lot of these big trees that are around, the wind starts blowing, maybe, tree's not as sturdy as it should be. Tree just flat out falls over. As long as it doesn't hit your car or hit your house, hit anything like a detached garage or a storage building or something like that, you're probably just safe to say, hey, let's just chop it up, have somebody come over, dispose of the tree, what have you. But tree falls onto your car. What do I do? That's probably going to be a comprehensive claim. It's terrible. It almost seems very cartoonish, but we've seen photos where you'll have a massive tree limb that just comes down and smashes the back end of the car, just completely crushes it. That's going to be a comprehensive loss. So you can certainly file that under your auto policy. Then we get into issues where we had it over the weekend where some clients of ours down south of here had a tree fall into their house and take out their bedroom.
Oh, wow.
Just falls right through the roof and takes out their bedroom. Yeah, that's going to be you're going to be able to file a claim for that. Now, you're always going to be subject to your deductible, so let's just kind of be aware of that. And we've said it time and time again. How long we've been doing this? 2 years?
Yeah, a long time now.
At least 2 years. So say it time and time again. It's probably not a bad idea. Pull out that policy. Say, hey, what the heck is my deductible? And people say, well, what's a deductible? What does that mean? Well, in simple terms, let's say the loss is, and we'll just go raw numbers here, let's say the loss is a $10,000 loss. And that means that's what it costs to get the house put back together after the tree falls through. If your deductible is $1,000, you pay the first $1,000, the insurance company picks up the rest. And so typically you may have an older policy where deductible is $1,000 or $500. Those are probably really old policies. Or you may have a more up-to-date policy where it's going to be 1%. People say 1% of what? 1% of what your home is covered for. So if your home is covered for $200,000, that's a $2,000 deductible. You pay the first $2,000, insurance company picks up the rest.
So it's one of those things that it's not the insurance agent's responsibility to know what's in your policy until you bring it to them to find out what's going on.
Exactly. There's not like a clearinghouse or a database of, hey, this is everybody's policies with all the different companies that are out there. This is what your coverage is going to be. We always tell folks when they call up and they'll say, hey, can you take a look at this policy? Sure, let's just see how you're covered now. Because you know what? You may have adequate limits for your home. You may have adequate limits for, storage buildings or detached garages, things like that. But you may not have some endorsements that you need on there. So that's our job is to kind of take a look, see how you're covered now. we see a lot of folks that are undercovered from a value standpoint because the policy's so old. We see other ones that are way overcovered. You know, you may have a 2,000 square foot house and you've had that policy for 8, 9, 10 years, and little by little by little, the replacement cost value keeps getting inched up. Next thing you know, you're sitting at a 2,000 square foot house. It's a nice house, regular house, but you may be having that insured at $350,000, $400,000, and that's going to be just way overinsured. And so it's our job as agents to sit down and to advise you and to go through your policy, go through what you have, and see where we can make recommendations, where we can say, hey, you may have some holes here, you may be overinsured here, and just, you know, educate you to what you have.
You know, something I think maybe folks are not too sure about is that if, heaven forbid, and we haven't had one in forever right here, but we did have some flash flood warnings the other day, the flood insurance is a little different.
Yeah, flood insurance is one of those things that it's not covered on your policy. You know, flood policies are completely separate from your homeowner's policy. Very much, you know, it's one of those things. It's no matter where you get it from, it's going to be the same price because it's underwritten by the federal government. So it's, you know, if you are in a low-lying area, a lot of times we run into this when a client will maybe get a new purchase on a home. And what will typically happen is if they have a mortgage on that home, usually the mortgage company is going to run I don't know the right word. It's not run a test on it. They're going to do the research to see if that's in a flood zone.
Right.
If it's in a flood zone, they're going to require that the client has flood insurance. But you don't have to be in a flood zone, but you could still request that you get flood insurance because stuff happens. So flood insurance is one of those things. They're going to go out. They're going to find out, hey, where's your house? They're going to get elevation certificates. We have survey companies that are out there that will come out, say, hey, this is the elevation of the home, and there's a few measurements they're going to need to get. There's a fee for that you're going to need to obviously pay the surveying company, and they'll get you a certificate showing you kind of where you're at, and then they'll rate your policy based on factors of, you know, where does it sit in the flood zone, what's the value of the home, things like that. So that's completely separate from your normal homeowner's policy is flood insurance, but it's something that, you know, again, if the mortgage company requires it, you're obviously going to have to get it to get the loan, or if it's something that you're interested in, you know, you can always take a look at it as well. The other thing people always ask, too, is, hey, what happens when I go out to an event? And one of the events I'll always remember, I don't know why this always sticks in my head.
1996, right?
What are you talking about?
Mayfest.
Well, you're good, Rick. You're like Notre Dame.
You know why? I was there.
You were there.
Yeah.
I don't know why I always remember Mayfest, 1996, but I think it was the first time that I was introduced to the term head size hail.
That was the biggest hail I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it was amazing. I remember as a kid watching on TV, seeing these people that had gone to Mayfest, which is this weekend. It's the 20-year anniversary coming up for it. Hail the size of your head. And just going through I mean, you know, people always wonder, you know, hey, if you drop a penny off the Empire State Building, what kind of damage is it going to do?
Right.
You know, and could you imagine, though, that you've got a ball of hail that's essentially ice that's dropping from an area higher than the Empire State Building and landing on your car?
Yes.
I mean, good heavens, you know? And so people always wonder, hey, what the heck happens in a situation like that? I'm at Mayfest, or I'm at an event. Maybe I'm down at Larry Joe Taylor this past weekend. I got my camper down there. Probably a good idea. Again, make sure your coverage is there because, yeah, comp is where the hail is going to fall under,
right.
No pun intended, for things like damages that it may do, whether it's going to beat the heck out of your car, kill your windshield, stuff like that. Or, again, let's take the festival. You've got your beautiful fifth wheel that you've pulled down to Larry Joe Taylor, and you're hanging out, and all of a sudden they tell you, hey, we've got bad storms coming, head to your campers, which, by the way, is probably not a good
Not a
place
great
to go,
idea, but it's better than sitting outside.
Better than standing out in the open. You want to make sure you've got coverage for that camper trailer as well, because guess what? Hail can beat those up too, and you want to make sure that thing's insured so that you can get that stuff fixed. So, guys, it's all about making sure that you've got not only the right coverage, but making sure that your limits are where they need to be, and making sure that you kind of have a vague idea of what you got. You know,
Right.
when you go grocery shopping, for example, you don't just blindly walk down the aisle, throw stuff into the cart, go up there, pay for it, and then leave wondering, man, what the heck did I even get? You got a pretty good idea. I got milk, I got eggs, I got this, I got that. Same way with insurance. It's something that you got to pay for. Let's make sure that you have a good idea what the heck you have, where you're covered, where you're not covered, so you're not just kind of left out wondering, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I didn't have that insurance.
You know, it's a huge surprise whenever you have a problem, you know, and you're traumatized enough.
And then you get the famous words, that's not covered.
That's not covered. And so it's best to know ahead of time before you even get involved. So give them a call today. And, Joe, if folks need to get a hold of you, I know it's an easy way to do it.
Yeah, 549-2525. You can call us up there, talk to Ann, Lynette, myself. We've also got some great folks over in commercial lines, whether it's Melissa, Ty, Brad, Sonia, just to name a few. Give us a call. Let us take a look at what you've got now, see where there's maybe some deficiencies, where there's some overages, see where we can evaluate what your current situation is, and let's just make sure you're covered the way you need to be. You can also touch us base on BryanINS.com, BRYINS.com, and check us out on Facebook, Twitter, all the good social media sites. But let us take a look at what you got. Make sure you're covered the way you need to be.
Make sure you get it done at Bryan Insurance. And, Joe, really appreciate your time. I mean, it's a timely topic with a lot of people need to take heed of this. If you don't have insurance, call. If you do, you might. And, you know, it doesn't matter what company you're with.
Nope.
You guys can take a look at it.
Exactly. Hail the size of a person's head.
That's craziness.
Yes.
And, we'll talk more about this off air in a bit. All right, that was Joe, the Bryan Insurance guy, here on your Smart Hardware 8 o'clock hour. We're going to get things kicked off with Stevie Nicks and some Kid Rock. We also have sports coming up. Stay tuned.
Q95.